The Andromedan commander sneered with cruel delight, his eyes glinting with malice, as he watched the helpless human colony ship erupt into blinding flames. Over 1,000 human colonists, families, children, all vaporized into atoms by the alien warship's merciless barrage. Commander Xanth flicked his forked tongue across jagged teeth. These human vermin had invaded Andromedan space for the last time. News of the unprovoked massacre spread through human space like wildfire. The fledgling United Earth Federation convened an emergency session on humanity's colonial capital world. Admiral Stephen Richardson gripped the podium, hands trembling, face etched with grief and rage. His sister, her husband, their twin daughters, all had been aboard that colony vessel, slaughtered like animals by Andromedan butchers. Tears streaming down his face, the admiral vowed blood for blood. The Andromedan Empire would pay for every human life snuffed out. For decades, the technologically advanced Andromedans had brutalized and subjugated other species, seizing their worlds and wealth, ruling the galaxy through force and fear. To the Andromedans, with their vast war fleets and planet-crushing weapons, the primitive humans were nothing but pests to be exterminated, upstart simians that needed to be put in their place. But Admiral Richardson swore that humanity would defy its would-be overlords. He ordered an investigation into Andromedan atrocities, uncovering a horrific galactic history written in the blood of entire civilizations deemed unfit to live by Andromedan decree. This vicious attack had been a declaration of war, Richardson realized. The Andromedans aimed to wipe humanity from the stars, as they had so many others. Earth's colonies would burn next if the aliens weren't stopped. Reports soon arrived of a colossal Andromedan armada massing to invade the human frontier. Thousands of warships, armies of gene-forged warriors, all aimed at crushing humanity's first toeholds in the galaxy. In desperation, Earth's leaders turned to Admiral Richardson, appointing him to lead its untested defense fleet against the oncoming onslaught. Though outgunned and facing near impossible odds, Richardson vowed that humanity would make the arrogant Andromedans regret their cruelty. What humans lacked in raw strength, they made up for in tenacity, ingenuity, and sheer fighting spirit. The indomitable human will would be their greatest weapon. Gazing out at a sea of uniforms, he delivered a solemn promise to his crews. They would fight to their last breaths to defend their species from enslavement and extermination. Today, this day, the Andromedans would learn they had messed with the wrong species. Humanity would fight for its very right to exist among the stars, no matter the cost. Admiral Richardson stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UES Endeavour, his piercing blue eyes surveying the holographic display of the gathered Earth defense fleet. Hundreds of ships, sleek and dripping with weapons, hung in the starry expanse, ready to face the coming storm. Richardson knew they were outmatched by the vast Andromedan armada, but he had a plan, an audacious attempt that could turn the tide. "All ships, prepare for FTL jump on my mark," Richardson commanded, his voice steady despite the weight of billions of lives on his shoulders. "Our target is the Andromedan supply depot in the Rigel system. We'll hit them fast and hard, steal their advanced weapons, and decrypt their battle plans. It's time to even the odds." The fleet surged forward, vanishing into the swirling vortex of faster-than-light travel. Moments later, they emerged in the heart of enemy territory, the massive Andromedan depot looming before them. Alarms blared as the human ships opened fire, lances of energy slicing through the depot's shields. "Alpha Team, board that station and secure the package," Richardson barked as elite human commandos streamed from boarding pods, breaching the depot's hull with explosive charges. Plasma fire erupted in the corridors as the humans clashed with Andromedan defenders, the screams of the wounded and dying filling the air. Amidst the chaos, Richardson's second-in-command, Captain Alex Tanaka, led a squad deeper into the station, hacking into the Andromedan systems and downloading terabytes of encrypted data. But as they fought their way back to the extraction point, disaster struck. Andromedan reinforcements swarmed their position, cutting off their escape. Tanaka and his men were surrounded, outgunned, and out of options. "Admiral!" We've been compromised, Tanaka yelled over the comm, his voice strained with desperation. They've got us pinned down and... The transmission cut to static, leaving Richardson with an impossible choice. Stay and finish the mission, leaving Tanaka to his fate, or risk everything to save his friend and second-in-command. Richardson's fists clenched as he made his decision. Helm, bring us in close to the station. I'm going in alone. Ignoring the protests of his crew, Richardson suited up, armed himself, and launched from the airlock, using his suit's thrusters to navigate the debris-strewn battlefield. With speed and stealth, Richardson infiltrated the Andromedan ship where Tanaka was held. Room by room, corridor by corridor, he fought his way deeper, dispatching enemies with ruthless efficiency. At last, he found Tanaka, battered but alive, and together they fought their way back to the waiting Earth fleet. But before they could escape, Richardson stumbled upon a chilling discovery, a hollow recording of the Andromedan High Command, detailing their plans for the complete extermination of the human race. The supply depot raid had been a diversion. The real target was New Bastion, the most heavily defended human colony in the sector. The Andromedans were gathering their full strength to crush humanity's last bastion of hope. With the stolen weapons and decrypted intel in hand, Richardson raced back to friendly space, his heart pounding with the enormity of the threat they faced. As the Earth fleet regrouped at New Bastion, the Admiral worked feverishly to incorporate the new technologies and develop a strategy to counter the impending Andromedan assault. The colony bustled with activity as soldiers and civilians alike prepared for the coming storm. Orbital defense platforms hummed to life, jam-packed with newly integrated Andromedan weaponry. In the command center, Richardson pored over the decrypted battle plans, searching for any weakness in the enemy's approach. Then, on the edge of the system, the Andromedan fleet appeared, a swarm of dark shapes blotting out the stars. Hundreds of ships, each one dwarfing the largest human vessel, bore down on the colony, their weapons charging with malevolent energy. The sight sent a shiver down the spines of even the most battle-hardened veterans. But Admiral Richardson had one last card to play. As the Andromedan warships entered range, he unleashed his masterstroke, a virus planted in the stolen data that infiltrated the enemy's communication network. In an instant, the Andromedan fleet fell into disarray, their ships turning on each other in a frenzy of confusion and friendly fire. Seizing the moment, Earth's fleet surged forward, their upgraded weapons tearing into the divided Andromedans. Explosions lit the void as the two armadas clashed, human ingenuity and tenacity matched against Andromedan technology and brutality. At the heart of the maelstrom, Admiral Richardson's flagship dueled with the command ship of the Andromedan leader, Xanth. The two vessels exchanged blistering salvos, their shields flaring and hulls scorched by searing energy beams. With a determined roar, Richardson rammed his ship into the enemy flagship, boarding pods exploding across its hull. In a devastating explosion, both ships were destroyed, but Earth's forces pressed their advantage, turning the tide against the disorganized Andromedan fleet. The battle raged on, casualties mounting on both sides as the colony's defenses held on by a thread. In a final, desperate act, Admiral Richardson sacrificed his own ship, ramming it into the heart of the Andromedan armada in a blinding flash of self-destruction. The invading fleet reeled, their command structure shattered and coordination lost. The acrid stench of burning metal and ozone filled the air as the remnants of Earth's fleet limped back to friendly space. Twisted hulks of destroyed ships drifted silently, a grim testament to the price of victory. On the bridge of the UES Defiant, Captain Alex Tanaka stared at the casualty reports scrolling across his display, his face a mask of grief and exhaustion. "Sir, we've received confirmation," his communications officer said quietly. "Admiral Richardson, he didn't make it." Tanaka closed his eyes, allowing himself a moment of sorrow for his fallen friend and mentor. But there was no time for prolonged mourning. The battle was won, but the war raged on. Days later, Tanaka stood at attention before Richardson's empty casket, draped in the Earth Federation flag. The somber notes of taps echoed across the parade ground as a 7-gun salute thundered overhead. As the last wisps of gun smoke faded, Tanaka's wristcom chirped urgently. "Captain, we're picking up multiple distress signals from the outer colonies." The voice of his XO crackled. "It's the Andromedans. They're hitting us hard." Tanaka's blood ran cold. He sprinted from the funeral, barking orders into his comm. "Get me a direct line to Fleet Command. We need to coordinate evacuations immediately." The next weeks were a blur of desperation and horror. Tanaka watched helplessly from the bridge of the Defiant as world after human world fell to the Andromedan onslaught. The alien warships, now under the command of the ruthless Gortak, swept through Earth's territories like a tide of destruction. "Incoming transmission from Novaterra," his comms officer called out. On the main view screen, the panicked face of the colony's governor appeared. "Please, you have to help us," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "They're everywhere. Our defenses are—" The transmission cut to static as a massive explosion rocked the background. Tanaka smacked his head against the command console. "Helm, set course for Novaterra, maximum speed. We have to save who we can." But they arrived too late. The colony was a smoldering ruin, its inhabitants slaughtered or taken as slaves. It was a scene repeated across a dozen worlds as humanity's hard-won territory crumbled. With their backs against the wall, Earth's remaining military leaders convened an emergency war council on Mars. Tanaka found himself thrust into the center of heated debates about humanity's next move. "We can't keep playing defense," Tanaka argued, his voice rising above the din. "We need to take the fight to them, hit them where it hurts." "And how do you propose we do that?" General Hawthorne scoffed. "Our fleet is in tatters. Our colonies are falling. We can barely hold what we have." Tanaka's eyes blazed with grit. "I have a plan. It's risky, maybe even insane, but it's our only shot." He pulled up a holographic star chart, zooming in on a distant sector. "This is Andromeda Prime, their homeworld. We hit it hard enough. We can end this war in one stroke." The room erupted in shouts of disbelief and anger. Tanaka raised his voice, silencing the chaos. "I know it sounds impossible, but we have the intel. We have the element of surprise. Give me our best ships, our best soldiers, and I swear to you, I'll bring us victory or die trying." A tense silence fell over the room. Then slowly, heads began to nod in agreement. General Hawthorne stood, his face grim but commitment. "Very well, Captain Tanaka. Or should I say, Admiral Tanaka. The fate of humanity is in your hands." With his promotion confirmed, Tanaka wasted no time assembling his strike force. He handpicked crews from the shattered remains of Earth's once proud armada, gathering a motley assortment of ships ranging from nimble corvettes to battle-scarred dreadnoughts. As they prepared to embark on their desperate mission, Tanaka addressed his fleet from the bridge of his new flagship. "I won't lie to you," he said, his voice carrying to every ship. "The odds are stacked against us. But remember, we're fighting for the very existence of our species. Failure means extinction. So let's show these Andromedan bastards what humanity is made of." A chorus of cheers erupted across the comm channels as the fleet engaged their FTL drives, vanishing into the depths of space on their perilous journey to the heart of enemy territory. Humanity had won the war, but victory came at a terrible cost. As the dust settled across the galaxy, Supreme Commander Alex Tanaka stood on the observation deck of the Mars Orbital Command Station, surveying the devastation below. The red planet's surface was dotted with sprawling refugee camps and hastily constructed prefab cities, home to millions of displaced humans from ravaged colony worlds. Tanaka's wristcom buzzed. "Sir, we've got an urgent report from intelligence." His aide's voice crackled. "You need to see this immediately." In the command center, Tanaka's face hardened as he reviewed the data. "Vortak," he spat the name like a curse. "That bastard survived." The holo display showed grainy footage of the Andromedan warlord, his chitinous exoskeleton scarred and pitted, rallying the remnants of his forces. More alarming was the massive dreadnought looming in the background, a warship of terrifying proportions. "Our deep cover operatives confirm he's captured Dr. Shaw," Lieutenant Desai reported, his dark eyes narrowed with concern. If Vortak forces her to complete that AI... Tanaka thumped his hand on the console. Not on my watch. Gather the team. We're taking the fight to them. Hours later, Tanaka stood before his most trusted officers in a secure briefing room. Colonel Hawkins, his beard grown wild since the war's end, growled, "Just point me at him, Commander. My pilots are itching for some payback." "It won't be that simple, James," Tanaka replied. "We're dealing with experimental tech and a cornered enemy. This has to be surgical." Lieutenant Desai's fingers danced across his data pad. "I've analyzed the intel. There's a weak point in their defensive grid. If we time it right, we can slip the Archangel Squadron through." Tanaka nodded grimly. "Make it happen. We launch in 6 hours." The mission began smoothly enough. Cloaked fighters of Archangel Squadron slipped past Andromedan patrols, weaving through a treacherous field of spatial anomalies that played havoc with their sensors. But as they approached Vortak's hidden shipyard, all hell broke loose. "Multiple hostiles incoming," Hawkins barked over the comm. "Evasive maneuvers." Space lit up with plasma fire as Vortak's defenders swarmed the human strike force. Tanaka's infiltration shuttle bucked wildly as Hawkins and his fighters ran interference. "We're not going to make it," Desai shouted from the co-pilot's seat. Hawkins's gruff voice cut through the chaos. "Like hell you're not. Archangels, form up on me. We're punching a hole." Tanaka watched in horror as Hawkins led his squadron on a kamikaze run, smashing through the Andromedan formation in a blaze of glory. The path to the dreadnought lay open. "James, you crazy son of a..." Tanaka's voice caught in his throat. "Give him hell, sir," Hawkins replied, his transmission breaking up. "It's been an honor." Gritting his teeth against the loss, Tanaka piloted the shuttle into the gaping maw of Vortak's flagship. They crash-landed in a maintenance bay, alarms blaring as Tanaka and Desai fought their way deeper into the ship. They found Dr. Shaw's lab, but the sight that greeted them turned Tanaka's stomach. The brilliant scientist was strapped to a neural interface chair, Andromedan devices piercing her skull as Vortak's thugs worked to extract the AI code directly from her mind. "Contact!" Desai shouted as plasma bolts sizzled past. Tanaka dove for cover, returning fire with his pulse rifle. "Doctor! We're here to get you out!" What followed was a brutal close-quarters firefight. Tanaka and Desai moved with practiced efficiency, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Just when it seemed they'd be overwhelmed, Shaw managed to free one hand and input a command into her neural interface. The ship's systems went haywire. Gravity plating failed, sending combatants tumbling. Blast doors slammed shut, cutting off Andromedan reinforcements. In the confusion, Tanaka's team scooped up Shaw and fought their way back to the shuttle. As they limped away from the crippled dreadnought, Shaw's eyes fluttered open. "Wait," she croaked. "I did it. The virus, it's in the AI." Tanaka's eyes widened as he realized the implications. He opened a channel to Fleet Command. "All units, fall back and regroup. The Andromedans are in for one hell of a surprise." Days later, Tanaka watched from the bridge of his flagship as Vortak's armada gathered for what the warlord surely thought would be a glorious revenge. The massive dreadnought led the charge, its weapons powering up. And then it happened. The ship's AI turned on itself, cascading through system after system in a spectacular chain reaction. Vortak's flagship tore itself apart from the inside out, the destruction spreading to every connected vessel in his fleet. In the stunned silence that followed, Tanaka allowed himself a grim smile. The war was truly over. Humanity had prevailed. Chancellor Alex Tanaka gazed out the viewport of the Mars Orbital Command Station, his eyes fixed on the red planet below. The sprawling refugee camps and prefab cities that once dotted its surface had grown into thriving metropolises. Humanity had not just survived, but flourished in the years since the Andromedan War. A sharp buzz from his wristcom shattered the moment of reflection. "Chancellor, we have an urgent situation," his aide's voice crackled through the speaker. Minutes later, Tanaka strode into the command center, where a holographic display flickered to life. The image showed the smoldering ruins of Meridian Prime, a once idyllic frontier colony reduced to ash and twisted metal. "What happened?" Tanaka demanded, his voice tight with barely contained fury. Lieutenant Desai, now sporting a few more gray hairs, stepped forward. "Sir, we lost contact with an exploratory craft on a routine recon mission. When the search and rescue team arrived, they found this." The hollow image zoomed in, revealing strange symbols scorched into the ground. Tanaka's blood ran cold as he recognized the alien sigils. "Get me Dr. Shaw," he ordered. "Now." Hours later, Dr. Katarina Shaw stood before the emergency strategy session, her hands shaking as she manipulated the hollow display. The years had etched deep lines around her eyes, a testament to the horrors she'd endured. "The symbols match those of an entity known as the Zarkilian," Shaw explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're a viral cybernetic race that consumes entire worlds, digitizing all biological matter at the molecular level." Tanaka's mind raced back to fragments of intel gleaned from Andromedan databases. "The world enders," he muttered. "Even the Andromedans couldn't stop them." The room erupted into chaos as the implications sank in. Tanaka banged his head on the table, silencing the uproar. "We need options, people. Dr. Shaw, focus on finding a way to disrupt their digitization process. I want scout ships deployed immediately to track their movements." Days blurred into weeks as humanity's best and brightest worked around the clock. Tanaka pored over tactical readouts, desperately searching for any advantage against this implacable foe. Then, without warning, alarms blared throughout the command center. Tanaka's heart sank as he watched the impossible unfold on the main view screen. A massive Zarkilian force erupted from slipspace at the edge of the Sol system, bypassing Earth's outer defenses entirely. "How did they?" Tanaka began, but there was no time for questions. "All ships, battle stations, this is not a drill!" The skies above Earth ignited as the greatest space battle in human history unfolded. Zarkilian fighters swarmed like locusts, their weapons carving swaths of destruction through Earth's cities. Tanaka watched in horror as entire sections of the planet's surface seemed to dissolve, consumed by the alien digitization process. "Sir," Desai shouted over the din of battle, "Dr. Shaw reports she's close to a breakthrough, but we need more time." Tanaka's mind raced. There was only one option left, one so unthinkable he'd dismissed it outright when it was first proposed. But now, with humanity on the brink of extinction, there was no choice. "Initiate Operation Singularity," he ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of billions of lives. "We're collapsing the sun." As the order went out, Tanaka silently prayed it would be enough. The fate of the human race hung in the balance, with only the cold vacuum of space to bear witness to their final, desperate stand.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.